to you live with the insight you need from the financials and political capitals of the world to the heart of innovation. This is Opportunities to Consider with your host, author, speaker, and corporate strategist, Hunter Gaylor.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Markets Hunter. We are back, joined live here with Robert Lukowski, who is the CEO of Quantum Computing Inc. Their stock symbol is QUBT. And as you know, we always go into this. But before we bring in our guest, I just want to say, thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Our videos are doing incredible. We're getting thousands upon thousands of views when these are going on. So make sure you follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, across all the platforms. And it's very important because we provide the links to the company and the company's informations of what we're talking about. So that's very important to keep the information flowing. So without further ado, I'd like to bring in our guest. You all know him very well by now, Robert Lukowski. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Hunter. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So obviously there's a lot of stuff going in the news right now with regards to AI, quantum computing, where we're going with the rate of technological advancements. And we've been following your company very closely. We've been talking about, where your company started, where you're at now and where you're continuing to go. And I just want to start out by covering quickly some of the recent news that has come out about your company. And one is there's a press release that came out right at the end of Q1. We're right now in Q2. So this is a great time to be talking. Your subsidiary, your solely owned subsidiary, QI Solutions, joins the Arizona Defense and Industry Coalition. That's a pretty notable headline. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on, the rationale behind it, what it means for your company, and what the goals you're looking to get out of that relationship.
Yeah, happy to explain. So we started up Key Solutions to be our government-facing entity. Dealing with the U.S. government, especially with these types of technologies that are very sensitive and have many different uses, particularly from the national security perspective, we needed to have a company that could be completely compliant with all the government requirements that it's necessary to do business with. So it was easier to set up a wholly owned subsidiary to do that, rather than trying to conform the entire commercial company to do that. Because we have a very diverse workforce, but the government wants to take that capability and ensure that only it's got its necessary security requirements. We wanted to be compliant with that. So we checked the box with that, and we put in charge of that company a very experienced and seasoned DOD, former officer of DOD and actually Department of Army, Sean Gabler. Really got a great background of transferring technologies from R&D and commercial space into a military application or to more DOD-oriented types of applications. So he's got a great track record on that. And he's been forming all sorts of partnerships to allow us to develop our relationships with either academic institutions or existing commercial or DOD-oriented contracting firms that already have established capabilities that we can leverage. So one of the challenges for a new company like ours, or a company that's emerging into this space, is that we don't have a prior history of performance. And so the only way we can do that is by bringing new technology to the forefront, but we have to leverage the relationships with other partners to be able to take their past performance to the government to demonstrate that we can actually deliver on the things that we're talking about. So these partnerships are really critical for us to be able to do that. So we established this latest one, the Arizona Defense Industry. We had one before that with the Indiana, I think it was the Quantum Consortium for Quantum Technologies, and there was one before that was the Quantum Networking Group also out of Arizona. What this does, it gives credibility to us. We bring credibility to them because we've got proven technologies that they can leverage back into the DoD world. And then, with their prior history, particularly with the academics and the commercial space, we show how we can scale these technologies to meet a DoD solution. the government wants to be innovative at one level and they want to be risk adverse at another level. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, they want to ensure success. So they have to go with proven capabilities. Even if they have an innovative technology, they want to make sure that they can actually demonstrate that they have the ability to deliver these capabilities to the warfighter or to whomever in that chain. So these types of relationships are very critical for us. It's great for our investor base because it's a much quicker path to getting revenue for us with these proven capabilities and these proven companies that have already done this before.
Well, and I think leading on to that, part of when you mention the investor base, they always like to talk about the fundamentals, the leadership, the advisory, who's
Right.
advising and guiding the company, right?
Right.
Because, unfortunately in the market today, we see a lot of leadership that would, in some other ways, a little lackluster because they don't have the necessary technical skill set or something like that. So they may be crippled in being able to grow in the direction that they would want to go. But I think that bridges nicely into my next question. You just actually recently appointed specialist Lewis Shepard to your technical advisory board, and going through a little bit of his background, and we will put this press release in the description for people to go read it. Coming out of VMware, really interesting, both Silicon Valley and government. So, why Lewis Shepard?
Sure. Well, we have Lewis, and I'll add Brian Lovakia, somebody that we announced here a couple of weeks ago as well, also coming out of Microsoft and has done a tremendous amount in the encryption space. What I have embarked to do, and this is sort of just the way I like to manage, as a CEO of a company, you can't have all the deep knowledge you need in all the different market areas. Obviously, you have to rely on your organic team. You need to have outside advisors, and any good leader wants to surround themselves with people who are A, much smarter than they are, but B, will not always just tell them what they want to hear, but they'll tell them what they need to hear. Those are not necessarily the same thing, right? And I've always been in a position where I need to have data. I'm a data-driven person, and I want people around me that I can trust, that understand the marketplace, know where we need to be going, things we shouldn't be doing. And so I'm trying to attract people around us that can do that. So I established an advisory board that's being head up by a colleague of mine with whom I worked when he was in the intelligence community, Jim Simon. And Jim has brought together a leadership capability that established the board to provide the same type of advice that I'm getting, but he's done that for the director of national intelligence, the director of central intelligence, based on his background. We constituted a board very similar. I've asked Jim to do the same thing for me at QCI, because I need those kind of people around us to give us the advice in the marketplace. So we're able to attract really high quality people like Lewis, like Brian, like Jim, that are able to see the industry from a very broad scale, and knowing where it's going and know where we need to be or maybe not be to ensure we can have the greatest impact. So I look for specialists. In Lewis's case, it's got a great blend of both DoD and commercial experience. He's deeply technologically oriented, but more important than that, he understands what the end users want, and he's able to help guide us to making sure that we're providing those types of end use capabilities that are going to be most near and dear to the innovative side of the DoD. Similarly, with Brian Lomakia, he's got a tremendously rich background in cryptography. He was one of the senior folks at Microsoft for cryptography before he left. And he is going to be advising us on our approach, particularly as we begin to, we launch our quantum random number generator downstream. Brian's background in that space is going to be very key for us to make sure we're communicating the real high points of what we can do back into the industry. So it's just another step in that process, but we need really smart people around us to make those good decisions.
Well, and it would seem to me, too, that these caliber of individuals that have a tremendous industry experience in these various sectors, the fact that they're accepting these positions to come into the organization really helps clarify for any of the people reading or following the company that these people believe in the technology and want to be able to articulate the capabilities of the technology. It's not like we're just saying, oh, it would be nice if this technology works. They're
Right.
coming in validating the solution that it does.
Well, that's right. Yeah, it's very validating for us to have people of this caliber. To your point, they could go anywhere they wanted to. And when we were having this discussion about them joining our board, they did their due diligence on us just as we did on them. But it is validating to know that people of this kind of caliber will accept that opportunity with a startup company, because it seems that we represent some pretty interesting technology in the space that they align with. So certainly that's the case.
So being that the case, let's move into a conversation that we were having a little bit of last time, but we're seeing more and more out today. You and I were talking a little bit before the broadcast today on Eric Schmidt from Google was on CNBC talking about, AI and everything that's going on. And some people, we now have countries and certain, institutions that are chopping off or not allowing you to access ChatGPT. People are not really understanding what the ramifications of AI are. But to me, from a technical perspective, it seems to me if you're going to be processing a lot of information through these various applications, like you said, one application is the quantum number generator. You have the, your cybersecurity stuff. You have your fraud detection. It seems to me by running with or being powered by your reservoir computer, these apps are going to obviously be able to be much more efficient, calculate a lot more than they would with your standard computing. Can you talk a little bit about what the merge or marriage would be between the reservoir quantum computer and AI applications? And I'll let you kind of have the floor to tell us what your thoughts on that are.
Yeah, so listen, this is obviously a very interesting area, but as you and I spoke last time, this is not new. AI has been around for decades, but the application of AI in a way that people really begin to understand it, vis-a-vis ChatGPT, I think has brought a level of awareness that previous applications just couldn't do it. So you have on one hand, ChatGPT and what that represents to people, and it's like I said the last time, it's pretty basic in terms of it's obviously very sophisticated, but it's basic in terms of what it's doing, right? It's using natural language processing to answer questions of that people have, and it's giving them very good and concise answers based upon a historical data set. For that to expand into the marketplace to be a truly useful tool, and this is something that Schmidt was talking about on CNBC this morning, it's going to require hundreds of millions of dollars worth of investment to both build those data sets and train the machines to be able to do that machine language and the AI that is necessary to actually synthesize this information into coherent answers that are actually accurate. That's not trivial, and that requires a significant amount of data. More importantly, it requires a significant amount of computing power. And what's been different this past decade or than the previous decades is the fact that we have this explosion of data, number one. More importantly, we have this explosion of computing power. We have, as we spoke about, we've got these NVIDIA chips, we've got GPUs, we've got this tremendous neural networking capability that reservoir computing represents. But yet there's still limitations to it. And the advent of quantum computing in this space will have significant impact on the AI market in general. It may not have it immediately, right? But over time, without a doubt, quantum computing is going to have a significant impact on the AI space. Now, I've been a little bit reluctant to try to talk about what we can do here because I don't want to appear to be a headline grabber, right? I'm not chasing a headline, right? You can't build a company chasing headlines. You have to build a company being thoughtful, making sure the technology works before you begin to say things. We've been at this for a while. We've had a reservoir computer, and we've been working on machine language and AI for quite a while now. And the whole point of where we can intersect in this space is clearly with these capabilities on the reservoir quantum computing side, because we can cut down the amount of training time necessary to look at these big data sets. We're having some discussions with, I don't want to get too deep into this, but we're having some discussions with some firms in the AI space that are looking to use the technology to do exactly that, to train it for some specific uses. On the medical side, being able to do better diagnostics is an area that AI shows a significant amount of promise. And the data sets don't have to be immensely large as they are on the internet. You're not pulling down data from the entire internet. You might be pulling down, subsets of data, but we're already showing some of that. And we expect to be, broadening our approach in that world. I want to be thoughtful about it. I want to be very careful about what we can do to ensure that we can actually add value. But there's no question that quantum computing will have a significant impact. And I believe Quantum Computing Inc., QCI, will be among the leaders in that space because of the capabilities that we have on the reservoir quantum computing technology already. So it's very promising, but there's no doubt that as a domain, quantum computing is going to have a significant impact. Now, one of the things we're not going to talk about necessarily today, but one of the implications of AI are sociological, and they're significantly impactful, right? People hesitate to talk about what the future of AI looks like. We talk, Elon Musk has got a consortium of folks that are suggesting they should put a moratorium for 6 months before any real development goes on, so we can get our policy heads around it. And there's merit to that, right? Because the policy implications of what AI may or may not be able to do are something that we need to put a lot of thought around. If you just put, pure technology against this problem, and you want to go, AI for AI's sake, there's a lot that can happen that could potentially be bad. And if there's not some I hate to call the word regulation, but it's clearly some oversight that ensures that we're doing things appropriately, there's clearly opportunities for misuse for this technology. Now, that being said, we live in the real world, and regrettably, whatever we may choose that's responsible, a lot of our adversaries or people out there outside the United States may be doing things that are not governed, and we may lose our competitive edge if we're not careful. So we have to be careful about how we apply any kind of moratorium in the context of what our adversaries or others may be doing that causes us to lose competitive advantage. These are really hard problems to consider. But if we are just taking a technological approach without all the ethical and other sociological considerations of it, there's no doubt in my mind that AI will have a significant impact, both positive and negative, on our society in a relatively short period of time.
Well, Bob, that's one of the things that we've talked about a little bit before is it's the unknowns, right? We know what we know what we don't know, and then we don't know what we don't know. So these unexpected or unintended consequences as a result of innovation could be very interesting to see, where that goes. So it's always definitely something to follow. But, I think we can always go down a rabbit hole on that with the moral and ethical.
Sure can.
And we are seeing some, people in articles that we've covered and talked about what the future of AI looks like with quantum. And, you look at copywriters, you look at a lot of the basic trades that were out there that was the research side of things now can be done in 3 seconds using ChatGPT. And so, right. and now, even from a personal perspective, I've seen how it's utilizing open tables. So you just ask it, what are the top rated restaurants in a certain area? It gives it to you in 2 seconds. So you don't have to go searching anymore. So what does that mean for concierge services? What does that mean for, so there's a lot of things that it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a very interesting story to follow to see how industry responds and what the government response to that is with some of those policy changes. So, Bob, I just kind of want to, in closing, talk a little bit about, where you see quantum. We are now in Q2. We've been following you from, Q3 and Q4 of last year into Q1, and we've seen nothing but advancements and milestones being met and organizations being joined and board advisors joining and, contracts being awarded by NASA. Forward looking, without being too, you don't want to try to say, hey, we know that this is going to happen, so I respect that. But what can we be on the lookout when we're following quantum in, say, Q2 and Q3 of this year?
Sure. So, our goal, Hunter, has been to build this company up and, add the resources where we need them on the engineering side and the technical side, doing the use cases to prove that the company has technology that is actually fieldable and can add value to the business equation. Don't forget, we have always been focused on adding value and making sure that when we talk about quantum capabilities, whether they be on the computing side or imaging, et cetera, that we have demonstrable capability to show clients. And we've been focused on that, and we've been sticking to that. And you're going to see more of that. Everything we're doing this year is going to be an application of the technologies we've been developing over the past year, and then actually bringing that into the marketplace. We talked about our quantum random number generator. Stay tuned for that. We have our quantum imaging with LiDAR. You'll see more of that being applied, and particularly in the space applications, as we're doing now. We currently have this one contract with NASA to do space-based evaluation of snow depth using LiDAR. We're going to be expanding on that. We have other areas that we're going to be expanding on with our technologies in cybersecurity. I'll be speaking at a number of conferences. We've been invited to speak, which is actually gratifying. We're getting recognized for the contributions that we're able to make vis-a-vis quantum computing capabilities, particularly in cyber. And I've been invited to speak at a number of conferences that I'll be doing this year, specifically on where quantum computing technologies can add value in the cybersecurity space. I believe that's going to be a key area of focus for ours, not just because of my background and interest, but because we actually have material technology that we can bring to the marketplace that's going to have a big impact on providing security in the post-quantum cryptography world. Look for more of that, but really it's going to be the application of our technology in the commercial space. Expansion, contracts, very confident both on the government side as well as commercially, that you'll see some announcements this year that'll validate the fact that our technology is really being accepted as cutting edge technology.
Well, we look forward to following it, Bob. And once again, thank you so much for joining us on the program today. And we look forward to having you back for these quantum updates, because we want to follow the story. Just like everyone else, when they're hearing these speeches, we want to be able to follow these things and keep the audience informed. And obviously, as new listeners are joining every day and people are starting to follow across all the social channels, we want to make sure we're bringing them the most accurate, up-to-date information. So thank you for your time again today, Bob.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bob.
Great seeing you, Hunter. Thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely. Okay. Anytime. Well, there you have it, folks. That was a great market update from Robert Lukowski, who's the CEO of Quantum Computing Inc. Their stock symbol is QUBT. Make sure you like and subscribe to this video. All the press releases that we talked about in this video, we will have underneath in our description below, and you can follow it across all channels, and we'll be pinning this to our social media, so it's right up top. You won't ever be able to miss it, and you can always go to the YouTube channel and follow them up. We are now in Q2, so it's going to be exciting to follow them. As you heard it from him, a lot of very interesting applications coming out that we can follow and see what the company's doing and follow the exciting development, because we are living in a quantum future now. These technologies and applications are coming out. So as market hunters, we should be following these companies in depth because they will have tremendous impacts, on our lives and the industries for that matter. So you know what to do, the places to go and the links to check it out. So thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Market Hunters.